Okay, so let's dive in.
Hmm.
Imagine trying to hear, like, the absolute quietest whisper, maybe a bird's wing flutter, but you're across this huge, noisy room.
Yeah, that's a great analogy because for centuries, that was basically the situation for doctors looking at the human heart's electrical signals.
Right, this tiny electrical current deep inside us, this constant rhythm. But it was like a secret song. You couldn't really detect it from the outside. Not with any useful detail, anyway.
Honestly, it's fundamental. Everyone knew something electric was happening in the heart, but capturing it, seeing it, especially without, opening someone up, that was the real mountain to climb back in the late 19th century. The tools they had were just, well, blunt isn't even the word.
Totally inadequate. And
God.
that's what this deep dive is all about today. The incredible story of Willem Einthoven, the man who figured out how to build the hearing aid, so to speak, for that secret song, the electrocardiogram.
We've been digging into sources about his life, the challenges, the sheer grit it took to make this happen.
Yeah, and our mission here is to really unpack that journey. Not just the what of the ECG, but the how. How did it even come about? What hurdles did Einthoven have to jump over? And maybe what can we take away from his story ourselves?
Absolutely, because it's a story about daring to listen when almost everyone else is saying, you can't possibly hear that.
So true. And to get Einthoven's drive, you kind of have to look at where he started. It wasn't exactly smooth sailing. He was born way back in 1860, not in Europe, but in Java, which was part of the Dutch East Indies then.
Right, and a really big moment early on was his father passing away. His dad was a doctor, and Willem was only, what, 6 years old?
Yeah, just 6. That's a huge loss.
Yeah.
And the sources suggest that really shaped things. The family then moved back to the Netherlands.
So, starting over completely, new country, dealing with that loss. You can imagine the upheaval, probably some real hardship involved there, too.
Definitely. And you see how that kind of early adversity could build resilience, right? That need to adapt, to just keep going. It seems like for Einthoven, it really focused him on his studies.
He poured himself into learning, maybe, like you said, honoring his father, or maybe just finding something solid to stand on when everything else felt shaky.
And he was brilliant at it. Got his medical degree from Utrecht University in 1885. But even then, his mind was already drifting toward something deeper.
Yeah, he got fascinated early on with the heart's electrical side. While others were focused on, say, the anatomy or the immediate symptoms, he sensed that these tiny electrical pulses held the key to understanding how the heart functioned. He saw potential where others saw, well, maybe nothing at all.
He was searching for the heart's hidden language, which leads us right into the big problem he set out to solve.
Exactly. I mean, the basic science wasn't totally new. Gazani had shown electrical stuff in animal tissue way back, and by Einthoven's time, yeah, they knew the heart generated electricity, but the tools, oh boy.
Crude is putting it mildly.
Yeah, bulky, clumsy, and just nowhere near sensitive enough. They might register a huge jolt, but the subtle, intricate pattern of a normal heartbeat, forget it.
It's like trying to read fine print with boxing gloves on. And often, getting any reading meant, invasive methods. Not exactly practical for checking up on patients regularly.
Not at all. So you have this vital biological process just sitting there, completely out of reach for any real clinical use. And then comes Einthoven with this, frankly, audacious idea.
He wanted to build something that could pick up those super faint signals right through the skin, non-invasively.
And not just pick them up, but record them, create a visual trace. That was the dream.
A dream that didn't exactly get a standing ovation initially, did it?
Far from it. Most of the scientific community thought he was, well, maybe a bit nuts. Pick up that faint signal through skin, muscle, fat. With the tech they had, seemed like science fiction. A waste of valuable lab time.
Wow. So he was really swimming against the current. The sources talk about him working in relative isolation. His lab was like his refuge, but also this intense pressure cooker.
Totally. And the hurdles were just immense. Constant technical problems. I mean, building something that sensitive from scratch. Huge engineering challenge. Money was always tight.
Plus that isolation, that loneliness of being ahead of his time, as one source put it, believing in something few others could even imagine.
Day after day, that must have been tough, but he just kept at it. And finally, 1903, the breakthrough.
The string galvanometer.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It's masterpiece. The concept was, in a way, beautiful in its simplicity, but making it work was fiercely complex. He used this incredibly fine thread, basically quartz coated in silver, and suspended it between really powerful magnets.
Okay, so a tiny thread in a strong magnetic field.
Exactly. And the heart's electrical current, picked up by electrodes on the skin, arms and legs initially, was channeled through this thread.
And that faint current would make the thread move.
Just quiver, almost imperceptibly, in that magnetic field. But the genius part was how he saw that quiver. He shone a bright light onto the thread.
And the thread casts a shadow.
Yeah, precisely. A moving shadow. And he projected that shadow onto photographic paper that was rolling past at a steady speed.
So the shadow's dance got etched onto the paper,
Yeah.
creating the waveform, the ECG trace.
Oh, wow.
Etching the heartbeat's rhythm, the sources called it. That's brilliant.
It was revolutionary. Suddenly, the invisible was visible. The heart could, in a sense, write its own story in these lines and curves. But don't picture some sleek little device.
No.
Not even close. This first string galvanometer, get this, weighed 270 kilograms.
Whoa, wait. Kilograms? That's like almost 600 pounds.
Yep, 600 pounds. And it took 5 people to operate it.
5 people for one machine. That's unbelievable. It really puts the scale of his achievement into perspective. Incredibly sensitive, yes, but absolutely massive.
A monster of a machine built to hear a whisper. But, building it was only half the battle. Then came the challenge of convincing the medical world this thing was actually useful.
Right, the reluctant revolution part. You'd think they'd jump at it, but no.
Not really, no. A lot of doctors were skeptical. They saw this giant, complex machine spitting out these weird squiggles. How is it? A curious but useless contraption, some apparently called it.
So complex, expensive,
Yeah,
and maybe hard to understand.
exactly. What did these lines even mean clinically? Was it worth all the fuss? There were huge debates. And remember, Einthoven didn't just invent the machine. He had to figure out the language it was speaking.
Those PQRST waves. He named those, right?
He did. That whole nomenclature we still use today, that comes from him trying to make sense of these patterns. He started the incredibly laborious work of comparing the traces from healthy people with those from people with known heart problems.
So correlating the squiggles with actual conditions.
Yes, and the sources emphasize how he handled the pushback, not with anger or defensiveness, but with data, with clarity, with a kind of quiet humility.
He just kept showing them, look, this pattern means this condition. This other pattern means that one.
Methodically, patiently. He showed, undeniably, that the ECG could distinguish healthy hearts from diseased ones, and even different types of heart problems. It wasn't just a curiosity, it was a powerful diagnostic window. That slow, steady drumbeat of evidence eventually won them over.
And the ultimate validation finally came.
It did. 1924. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for the discovery of the mechanism of the electrocardiogram.
Decades of work, isolation, doubt, finally recognized on the world stage. Amazing. And even then, his character really comes through in the story.
Oh, absolutely. That generosity. Sharing the prize money with the family of a collaborator who had passed away, that says a lot.
And turning down funding for a fancy personal lab. Choosing instead to hire more researchers.
Yeah, investing in the science, not the status. It speaks volumes about his focus. His legacy isn't just the machine, it's in every single heartbeat monitored, every life saved or improved because doctors could finally see the heart's electrical function.
It truly became fundamental, a cornerstone of cardiology. You can't imagine modern medicine without it.
And he built that bridge, didn't he? Between physics, these precise electrical measurements, and the messy, complex reality of human health and healing. Every ECG run today traces right back to that massive 5-person machine in his lab.
So thinking about his whole journey, what does it really tell us? The sources kind of prompt us to reflect beyond just the medical history.
For sure. I mean, the doubt, the isolation, the technical roadblocks, the resistance from the establishment, these are things lots of people face, right? When you're trying something new, something difficult, something others just don't get yet.
He was chasing those invisible currents. It really makes you wonder, what are the invisible currents in our own lives or our own work? The things that seem intangible, maybe unmeasurable right now, but hold some potential.
Exactly. And his story shows that breakthroughs often don't come easy. They require that persistence, that willingness to work against the grain, maybe feeling alone for a while, but also that commitment to evidence, letting the results speak.
He built this behemoth of a machine because he believed he could capture something vital that no one else could. And he did. He gave us a whole new way to understand life.
It's a powerful example. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Einthoven had his string galvanometer, this huge, improbable thing he had to build. What's your string galvanometer?
Hmm. That idea, that project, that thing maybe only you can see clearly right now. The one that feels essential to pursue, even if it's hard, even if people don't understand it yet.
Maybe the world's waiting for you to dare to build it.